They cut their own budget.
For the agenda item 2, that'll be the next one. And we got Jack over here.
No, we're gone. Whatever he's eating dinner is.
Let's grab him anyway.
No, let's go.
Jack! I talked to him. He was crazy. He was screaming across the restaurant. So, okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you. This is our second meeting here, so it's a pretty good turnout. There's still people meandering about over there eating dinner and stuff, so we'll get right into it. First off, you all probably heard the. Actually, wait. Let's start this over. I'm going to do introductions. My name is Ryan Manevar. I'm the Executive Director of Monterey County NORML, and the Advisory Board member helping out Jason Allen over here as the Executive Director interim, coming up for this one.
I'm Joey Espinosa, the Deputy Director of Monterey County and the President of the Coastal Growers Association.
I'm Jason Allen, the clumsy one. What's that?
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Brian. I just work in Casero.
That's cool.
Bob and Chris.
Hello, I'm Claire from Paso.
Daniel.
I'm Alan, Central Coast Growers Alliance. Simon, Coast Growers Alliance.
Okay. Well, first thing on the item is news. The DEA is not going to reschedule cannabis anytime soon. That's kind of unfortunate, but they're only going to go to Schedule 2, and that's basically only going to open them up for pharmaceutical companies. So it'll come up for a descheduling and rescheduling again once somebody actually pushes for it and gets some backing from them up there. So that's bad news for the most part, but we wasn't really going to get that good even if it did go through. However, pull up the second article. The pot taxes that they were going to try to push at the Senate here in California, we were finally able to put enough pressure on them, and we wrote a lot of different letters. And basically, the Senate Appropriations Committee, they shelved AB 2243 with the knowledge that California voters will consider a 15% pot tax, which we got that wrong. It's actually 10%, on the November 8th ballots. And that's when it goes up with Proposition 64. Jim Wood was pretty surprised. It would have charged $9.25 per ounce of marijuana flowers and $2.75 per ounce of pot leaves and $1.25 per ounce of immature pot plants. And Wood said the funding is needed to help cover enforcement and environmental costs under a new system approved last year that will license the growing, transport, and sale of medical marijuana. But the Assemblyman was baffled. By the way, this is the guy who also screwed up on the March 1st deadline that made everybody rush to shut down and start banning areas, and a couple that opened up. And he was baffled by the vote and seeking an explanation. Something got in the way of good policy, and I think we all deserve a real answer for what that was, Wood said. And some in the marijuana industry said it was premature to approve a tax 2 years before the Bureau of Medical Marijuana Regulations even begins to issue licenses. This measure was primarily opposed by the Americans for Safe Access, ASA, and California NORML. So when you hear us beating up on taxes constantly, that's because if you put enough pressure on the politicians publicly, you can actually crush them down so they can peel that back. What would $150 a pound mean to you guys at the end of the day for how much that would have cost? That would have been a lot of money, okay? So you just got to say, it's going to be pushed back for a while, and they're probably going to try to bring it up again later because they got their teeth in that, and they're going to want to get the taxes. And I say they, I mean the state of California that runs us. And it'll come back again later, but we'll see. The next thing, as far as news in SLO, I don't actually know what the tax rate is being proposed in Grover City right now. Does anybody else know what it is?
It's $15 a square foot and then 5%. What?
15 a square foot and then 5% off of gross receipts?
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys care about the tax rate in Grover Beach, just push them back. Fight them on every single level and you might have a chance. But you're actually going to have to contact these people in order to do it. The next thing that we have going on, we're still doing the first Thursdays in SLO proper, the second Thursday in Paso Robles, and the third Thursday in Pismo Beach. So if you want to join us, one of those locations coming up, it's in the agenda, and we'll be putting out the Facebook posts for it as they happen. The project section under item 4 that we like to deal with. We have the SLO County Normal Draft Ordinance. It's in the Google Drive document, and we've begun actually getting comments on it, critiques and stuff. Thank you so much for actually kicking in on that. And if any of you actually want to take a shot at this, it was based originally off Monterey County Normal one, which by no means is perfect. Humboldt County is another one we want to take a look at and kind of incorporate it. And if you have the chance, you could actually define what types of licenses you want to see coming into your area. And you have to be proactive about that in order to get it through. Anyone that would like to participate in that, you can either contribute anonymously, you can make an alias Gmail if you want, or you can just straight up use a real email if you want to, make friends.
I got Grover Beach up. It is a little different than what I
Yeah. Pull up the one for SLO County Normal Ordinance so they see what that looks like. It's back on the agenda under items 4 projects.
So it's
Go back to the agenda. It's 10 square foot.
well, it's
25 acres.
5,000, and it drops down, and it's 5% on gross receipts of delivery.
Okay. Go ahead and put up the draft ordinance. It's under the agenda. If you go to agenda, the link's right there. I'll be digging for that for a second. Oh, gotta go back. Anyway, if you guys want to participate in that one, you're more than welcome to. It's a Google Drive document. There's plenty of tutorials out there, and you can play with it as you need. Yeah. And then as it populates, you'll end up seeing a bunch of comments pop up on the side with these little notes.
And if there's something you don't like,
You're going to have to change your zoning codes here for everything because there's different ones for each area that you go through, and there's a couple of links for that we'll provide as well.
let's show about the highlighting.
So just highlight a section.
If there's something you don't like that you want changed, you just highlight the section like this, and then come over here and click on that. And type in what your problem is here.
Yeah. And it's a pretty easy process, and everybody can see what everybody else is doing, so it's totally transparent. It's a very efficient way to do it. And then when we actually give that over to the Board of Supervisors or the City Council members, anybody, they get all of those notes on the side, and they're not bombarded by 10,000 emails for everybody asking for something very specific. It also is an excellent way to get around the Brown Act, which we'll get into a little bit later. The next thing, Project 2, the lobbying day in Sacramento. We pulled the dates for it. For those of you that would actually like to go through the lobbying project, in the agenda we have a link that goes directly to it. The next one's going to be on Thursday, November 17th. And then the one after that, the next following one is Thursday, January 12th, 2017. It's 2 hours of your life where you're going to have 2 former senators and congressmen that do this little song and dance where they explain to you basically how not to get politicians caught accepting bribes. That's really what they're trying to teach you how to do. I'm going to show you how to catch them on the other side of that too coming up. So it's fun. They feed you really well, and it's a good time, and it's really bizarre, and you basically get to mingle with people in all different areas of the industry that lobby. And by the way, the #1 group of people that lobbies against the cannabis industry is basically law enforcement, okay? It's a combination of sheriff's department, the actual jailing system, and then whatever local police chief unions get together and pull this stuff off. Because basically we make 50% of their budget for them by going after the cannabis industry, which is really the drug war. So if you guys want to sign up for that, I would suggest doing it. You should carpool up and get there the night before, because some of these things are early in the morning. Fighting traffic in Sacramento is a nightmare if you've ever had to go through that. Oh my God. Okay. And scroll down a little bit. Bring keep going. All right, the next one. Click on Project 3 CENTA, Concentrate Facility Guidelines. We have an opportunity to define what regulation should be if we do their homework for them before that. So for those of you that are actually interested in manufacturing for things like light hydrocarbon extraction, one of the groups I work with as communication director up in Santa Cruz, last year we actually had to propose what we thought our guidelines should be for light hydrocarbon extraction, propane, butane, hexane, etc. and there was a small subcommittee of us from the Cannabis Advocates Alliance up there that actually sat down with a couple of awesome engineers and actually figured out what all the details for space should be. We tried to make it as simple as possible. So when you actually try to go in and say, in SLO County, we would like type 7, light hydrocarbon extraction, they're going to be like, okay, what about the facilities? They're going to blow up, and there's going to be fires, and people are doing this in their garages, and it's burning everything down. You can actually make that bigger if you go up to the percent thing there, increase it to like 200. This gives you an opportunity to give them basically a template, so they can just fall back upon that, and then they'll be like, all right, we like this, this is cool, and then what they'll end up doing is they're going to check with your local fire department chiefs, and they'll compare it to their books for what is considered explosive and not, proper ventilation, etc. And then they may give you the okay, or they may ask for a couple of modifications, but it's right there. Oh, unclick that. 100%. Unclick that. Unclick that. You see the 100%? Yeah. Go down to 200. There you go.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, and this one is also an open source document, and there's been a lot of people working on it, and we ended up taking this one and giving it to a group called CENTA, which stands for the Cannabis Extractors National Trade Association. Joey's also a member of that as well, so am I. One of our friends, James Benton, is up there. A lawyer named Gavin Kogan was one of the original founders of Altai, which is a mixing facility that does chocolates in the city of Salinas, and a couple of other interesting people around the country and world, because the cannabis extraction technology that exists, it was there a while ago, but nobody really knew much about it, and it's just quantum leaping like every 2 years with how cool it's getting and how much more efficient it is. So keep that in mind. And if you can give the government something that's legit to work with, they're not so intimidated by, they'll actually adapt it. All right. Next, we'll go back to the agenda. We have the process. We've begun breaking down the political maps for all 58 counties and all 492 municipalities. Scroll down. Oh, you're looking at the wrong one. You're looking at the old one. You go to the one for Thursday, September 8th, which actually might be the wrong date on that. It's the one on the 11th, yeah. Sorry, we were putting some of this together right at the last minute. We got a bunch of new stuff that we had to throw in. So, go back. Okay. Inside every single board of supervisors, you can actually pull the donor list. This is something you can find out to see who's actually contributing to their campaigns. Once you know who's contributing to their campaigns, you get to start to understand that these people are just basically proxies for people that throw down large amounts of money. So we printed off Form 460 for Adam Hill, County Supervisor. And his committee is called Friends of Adam Hill. We also included a link to it on the original one, so that if you want to go in there, you type in the name of any politician, and you're going to get the information for who actually bought them off. And the kind of things you want to look for example, I hope Mr. Gary Grossman from Shell Beach isn't here, but he's the president of the Coastal Community Builders. Anytime you see somebody that works in construction, they're notorious for buying off people because it's basically land use development issues, okay? So you want to look for anything that's basically above $250. That one right there is $5,000. When you go back, you actually start pulling the math, you can connect the dots. Now, the way you buy a politician, by the way, is you give $5,000 to the incumbent and $5,000 to the person that's going to run against him. You can see that they're hedging their bets. Whoever wins, you know. But you start going back through. You want to look at all the board of supervisors, everybody that's running against them, and then you can do this for sheriffs to find out who's actually paying off the sheriff's departments, police chiefs, judges, etc. It's all in there, okay? So the whole thing you learn about when you go through the lobbying thing is like how not to get caught doing that. But most people are super lazy. So you have these huge fundraisers for it, and then you get a bunch of checks, and they're either coming in the form of a PAC, an individual, or some other half-assed way where they say it's like undefined. So when you start to figure that stuff out, you can actually begin to build the real political map of who's actually pushing the buttons in an area. This is a classic technique. We've done it all the time, but now that you have access to the internet in the past 10 years, it makes it much easier to track these things. And by law, they are required to do this, okay? It's a solid trick. And when you walk into a meeting, okay, generally what happens is people come in there and they say, I want this. You know, I hate California oaks in my neighborhood and I want them all chopped down. Or I really hate California oaks in this piece of property I have and I want to chop them all down so I can build an amusement park, a spaceport, a gambling track. whatever it is that they want. They're like, okay, well, why should I do that? And it's like, because I'm going to give you all this money. What you want to do is you go in as a cannabis lobbyist and you actually sit down. You basically come up and you're like, look, I know who's paying for you. I know who's paying against you, okay? There's a lot of issues going on here. I can see this person paid this one, this one, this one, this one, and you as well. And I would like a couple of things changed. When you actually go in there and do that, they're absolutely terrified and shitting themselves that you actually know how much money they came from. Because the other thing that happens is, in those lists, it gives the names and the addresses of where those people donated the money from. You can then contact those people, and that's what they're absolutely terrified by, okay? You see, like most simple organisms, all politicians respond to two forms of stimuli, pleasure and pain. Pleasure is lobster dinners, you know, champagne, trips on yachts, trips out to Vegas, whatnot. Pain, the real pain, is when you start taking their money away, and that means they're going to lose votes, okay? You can do that by actually costing them votes, so they have to go out there and rebuy them, or you can just straight up take them and switch them over to their enemy. Okay, it's a classic technique. They panic when you do it, and that's really how it works in SAC when you go up there and even push some weight on these people. Reason why, like, you know, Woods is baffled as to why all these people have suddenly switched away from a cannabis tax that was going to make them $70 million in the state of California. That's because groups like ASA and Cal Normal have been putting weight on them for a long time about this shit. We're like ringing the bell everywhere we go, like, pay attention to this. If you guys want to pay super huge taxes, stick your head in the sand. If you don't, make a stink about it, but don't be an asshole. You go in there, you let them know where that money's coming from, and then you put some pressure on them. And you let them know you're going to go out there and talk to other people about it. Then they shit themselves, okay? It's crazy. After that, yeah, that was basically listed under Project 5, which is Follow the Money. And you can do this for every single politician that you run into for the rest of your life, wherever you go, at least in California. And then, yeah, okay, notes for next month's meeting. As we said in the last agenda, starting in August, we were going to begin the members-only meetings, and that starts next week, okay? Jason, can you scroll up? I want to see the book. There you go. That's the book you want to buy. If you have any questions about government, 95% of them will probably be answered with that book. This one right here. It's absolutely fantastic, okay? It's written by the League of Women's Voters. It's the 16th edition. They're solid. They know what they're doing. It's very well broken down, and the appendix is solid too. I mean, it's just amazing.
How much of a kickback do you get on that?
$20 for Amazon? I don't get shit. I wish, man. I would push the
We're
hell out of it.
talking kickbacks and, you know, payouts.
Oh, there's so many better ways to get kickbacks in this industry. We'll get to that later. Next meeting, we'll get into that. So once you get the book, you have to present this to us. Sign your name to it. You come to the next meeting. We're then going to give you a verification code that goes to a Google Drive form for membership. All right. Now there's multiple levels. Scroll down so they can see the actual red of where it's at. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah. Oh. All right. The first thing is we're not even going to take your money for the first 30 days. Okay, it's a trial basis. We literally want to filter people out. The best way to filter people out is by giving them work. It's amazing. You give them work, they just run away. It's like turning on the light. Cockroaches just scurry. The ones that actually remain after those 30 days have actually done the work and completed the project on time and haven't given us a bunch of bullshit excuses or hassles or my life exploded in front of me, I can't deal with it, I woke up covered in blood, like whatever it is, I don't want to hear about it. Okay? Once you get through those 30 days, at that point, you get the verification code, you can then pay us. That's right. That sounds really weird. We don't actually want your money because we don't actually want to deal with people that are crazy. We like to filter them out. It makes for a very efficient and a very lean organization when you go through the process. Once you get in there, you select whatever level you want, and that's all the different stuff you can get access to. It's a simple grid. You can figure out what the benefits are. You decide what you like. Whatever you put in is pretty much what you're going to get back. After another 60 days, all right, at this point you can apply for a team leader position. If you actually show that you can run a group of people, then you might just get nominated for a board position. There's a lot of different types of board positions that exist out there. Some people are going to be really good at some of them are going to be horrible at almost all of them. It's weird. That jump from team leader to board leader also changes things, okay? You'll see how that plays out. You will actually be accountable. What do you get as a benefit being a board member in this group? You're going to get more work. That's right. You get more work. We're going to filter you out yet again. You get 60 days to prove yourself at that point. That's about it. So, yeah, I know I went through that one a little bit quick, but we're flying. And now, where is it? There you are. Would you like to give a little demonstration or talk about what you're up to?
Sure.
Go ahead, take the floor.
Okay, I can stand there, I suppose. Hello, everybody. I'm Ansel Tanner. I'm president of Delta 9 Industries LLC. We do consulting, and we are putting together a lab for analytical testing here at San Luis Obispo. We've been in the process of doing that for a moment now, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for us to open our doors. It's right around the corner. We have early user adopter agreements ready to go. We are ready to do consulting now. Yes. No. Wrong. Sorry. That's it. Yeah. Delta 9 Industries.com. That's actually, they're out of Holland, and they do genetics. And so, no, not really. Yeah. We got some really kick-ass genetics, though.
That's the one right there, right?
Yeah. So that's us there. So this is our lab director, Dr. Bell. He is a specialist in plant chemistry and also greenhouse management and construction. So any of you guys who are thinking about putting together some greenhouses around or need any consulting doing propagation, yield management, maximization, propagation of mass clones. We are specialists in culture plating and also other forms of mass propagation. So those are the basic services that we offer on the consulting level. Another thing we can offer, this is my mother, Diana. She is part of the Monterey County Pest Control Advisory Board, and she does regulations for pest control and all the pesticide regulations for Monterey County. So basically, anybody who's looking to get into Monterey County and get those permits and licenses now, she would be one of the people to talk to and bounce your ideas off of her. We can help with zoning and getting you guys set up with the legal portions of it, and basically walk you through step by step, getting a piece of property, getting the permits, getting the greenhouses set up, or however you want to do propagations, and getting you dialed in on a professional basis. So if you'd like to offer what you have to say for a moment, and then I'm going to get back up and I'm going to introduce my friend Ruben.
Well, as I said, we can provide consultancy on propagation. I don't think anybody is yet ready for going on tissue culture like propagation in thousands and millions, although that can also be done. But it's not simply propagating, multiplying numbers, but it's also selecting the leaves. If you have a good one out of a population of 1,000 or 5,000, and then you want to multiply only that one instead of purchasing the plantlets every time from the market. So you can do that and then multiply to a number, whatever numbers are required in greenhouse conditions, and also other greenhouse management, whether you are going for organic or otherwise, you can provide consultancy on that. Apart from that, as we already said, we can do, we will be doing analyticals. Many of things are coming up. A week back, there was a poisoning of some candies because it had synthetic compound in that one. That was in the TV for 2 days. So almost every product, we will have to do testing apart from other things that are required by FDA, pesticides and adulterants and of course active concentrations. We will also have to do a testing whether any synthetic has been mixed with in this product. So all those studies can be done, although the lab has come up, but we will come up very shortly. This is basically the services that we provide in consultancy, but if anybody has any requirement on extraction, as you said, CO2 extraction, carbon dioxide extraction, or solvent extractions, yes, we can provide consultancy because you can't use very many solvents. Solvents are toxicity, and if you use a solvent, that solvent will be left in the product. Even a trace will be very, very bad and very toxic. So it's not that easy, as you said, you can use protein, hexane, or benzene, or chloroform, or whatever. There are restrictions as per rules. There are restrictions in California, and also as a normal health thing. So we can advise you on safe extraction and optimum extraction. There's a question. I have a question.
So tissue culture, can you do organic tissue culture?
Tissue culture is all organic.
Yeah?
Because unless you are adding growth hormones, which you do not want, yes, you can do without that.
Okay,
Because
that's where my question
all these synthetic growth hormones can also be extracted from plants.
Gotcha.
You can add a plant extract and can get the same benefit of it.
And do you guys sell like stuff for tissue culture propagation? The agar and stuff like that?
No, we do not have the facility.
No, you're not selling.
We have the expertise, but not the facility. If somebody wants to partner and put up a lab, yes, we can do that way. Or somebody finances us and we do that.
Okay,
But that can be done. The expertise is available.
got it.
Yeah, to answer your question, we don't have a seller's permit to sell the product, but for a consulting fee to come in, give you the proper gels, give you the proper.
Get it going.
Get it going, yeah. I'd like to introduce Ruben Gardner. He is the president and owner of Dabworks in Northern California, Mendocino area. And he is a master plumber fitter and mechanical engineer who has developed a rosin press system that is by far and away the best on the market. It is unique in several different ways, and it's coupled with a unique tube system with stainless steel mesh that I'll let him explain. Ruben, if you'd like to.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ruben from Mendocino County. Like Angelo said, we developed basically a RTS, rosin tube system, to make really good and clean rosin. There's 11 key elements. One of the key elements that people don't even know is the weave on those tubes. You can have that weave, you can have other weave. That when you press your nut or whatever you use, you really maximize, or you can go for just taste. Our system comes complete. The machine, air compressor, the hose, all the fittings, the tube, really thick parchment paper cover silicone that you can collect and reuse. A brush to clean the tubes. You can reuse the tubes. You can make tincture out of those tubes also. Just putting them in 150 to 190% grain alcohol. And so far, they accusing me that the price in Mendocino for the rosin is so low because of me, because we send in so many machines. And I love it.
So we have several presses, full systems out in the van. We're going to be doing a demonstration. If anybody wants to come out and see the machine, see how it works, see some techniques, that's actually a possibility for us to do at the end of the meeting. So you guys are more than welcome to join us over in the parking lot after we're done here for our presentation.
When is your lab scheduled to open in San Luis Obispo?
Right now, I'm working with my attorney to secure some funding that we're working on. We're in the process of creating one lab, and then my lab director came in and decided that we needed to do a GMP laboratory instead, which set us back a little ways. We're going to have to do a little bit more construction and have ISO certifications come in before we open our doors. So we're looking at probably between 3 and 4 months from now. So we're in the process of getting everything ironed out, but it's looking about 3 and 4 months.
Eric, welcome.
Yeah.
So what about county ordinances for local permits? I mean, don't you have to wait like the rest of us to get your permit to be one of those licensure types?
Well, we have actually a business license and a permit to test anything chemical in California. So our laboratory is accredited and registered with the DEA already. So I think it's because of the fact that we got in, I got my permit 4 years ago. So before the MRSA laws were even on the books.
So we don't have the county permit?
No, it's not. It's a state license that I have, and the county permit that I have is an analytical laboratory to test anything chemical. So I can actually work with the police department testing narcotics, and I can have contracts with other pharmaceutical companies testing certain drugs for pharmaceutical R&D, all types of things.
So though, without a county permit to operate as a laboratory, you just then can't test cannabis flowers?
No, I have a city business license and a county business license to test anything that's chemical. So cannabis is a chemical. Anything that's chemical breaks down into chemical compounds. You know what I mean? So, you know, even if it is organic compounds, it all breaks down to the periodic table. So, you know, that's where it comes down to. It was really the wording of the business license that allowed us to operate and do what we're doing. And I've been in contact with the board of supervisors and the city council members, and they're fully aware of what we're doing, and they're actually in the process of thinking over, you know, lifting the moratoriums on, you know, brick and mortar once regulatory commissions are in place. So I think that's one of the things that they definitely want, that, you know, in the county before they're even considering doing that for you guys. So that's why we're gonna ramp that up and get that there as soon as possible so that we can start that ball rolling and get some, you know, some of you guys in some stores.
So can you talk a little about the early subscriber stuff and how that's going to benefit the guy?
Okay, yeah, sure. So we got early user adopter agreements. Basically get you into the premier memberships. Premier memberships that we have grandfather you into the discounted rates and pricing at a 38% discount. So basically your potency testings are going to be $50 a test throughout the entirety of our relationship. So they're never going to go up. There's been a lot of price increases with testing facilities lately and things like that. So what we're doing now is we're getting in at a reasonable rate. I've gone over the price points with my lab director to see where we can actually get the most value for our clients and still stay afloat. And so the premier memberships give you discounts on all of the testing, on consulting, on courier service, and on pretty much any other service that we are going to be providing in the future, which there's a couple of proprietary ones. I can mention a little bit about right now. We're going to be offering a service that is a cryogenic freezing strain bank. So it's going to actually take tissue cultures and save your strain specifically. This is going to be used not only for the cannabis industry. This lab is set up to cater to the wineries and to all the commercial agriculture you know, sector around here. So a lot of the yeast cultures and a lot of the grape varietals and things like that, you know, if something were to happen to come in and wipe out your whole crop, you know, we're able to then propagate you a whole new crop of the exact same strain. If you have a cup winning strain or something that you want to keep proprietary for yourself, we're able to do that, and you don't have to have a bunch of seeds. So
You do tissue culture on artichokes?
pretty much you can do tissue culture on any plant,
anything, right?
Yeah, on any plant. But you know, some are more apt to you know, the propagation process than others. Woody trees, and when it starts getting into
Yeah, gotcha.
I would say that would be something that I wouldn't be able to do.
Like tomatoes would be very easy.
I don't have
But if you have to do say mango, you can never do. Nobody has ever done it.
Okay, gotcha.
So it really depends on the species.
Because what I have, like maybe another 10 acres of artichokes I want to plant, and I was thinking of, there's a lot of variation with the seed because it all comes from seed and transplant.
Yeah.
So if I did tissue culture off of my favorite plant,
Sure.
go pick my favorite plant, and I do, yeah, and how much are we talking to make another 30,000 plants?
Cost-wise?
Yeah.
That would need to be run through.
Okay, we'll talk about it later. I don't want
Yeah.
to get off on a full tangent.
Yeah.
Whatever everyone wants to hear about, right?
We can get it done for free at an affordable rate. It's basically once the lab is set up and once the initial costs are absorbed. With,
If you have 10 million plants, I can give you at a 30 cents. But you have 30,000 plants.
Yeah, I know.
It costs you
The cost goes up, I get it.
yeah.
Another question I had back to the cannabis, have they decided on batch and lot sizes or how that's gonna work for testing? As far as how much, so we grow 20 pounds, what's the sampling and the batch and lot for a 20-pound?
So that regulation I haven't really gone into as far as the knowledge that I have for the actual laws for the zoning and what they're going to do, if they're going to require you to go and pick from here and pick from here and pick, like, you know, what they do for their audits is they require, you know, the field workers to get, you know, the workers with the owners, the people to go out and pick out 4 different places of their plant, and they'll have that tested for pesticide runs and make sure that they're compliant. And so for the outdoor guys, it's probably going to be similar. They're probably going to have you do it off in sections. You probably know a grid system. Yeah, it's probably standard like they do in the commercial ag systems, and do like a grid system and you pull it out. It's an indoor setup. It's going to be a little bit harder to regulate. You know, all the guys with warehouses and things like that. But I would imagine a grid system would be just as effective. And then in your batches, you have just dry weight. You're trying to, you know, drop 10 pounds of your weight. It's just probably 3 grams in each unit. So, you know, but that's my own personal suggestion.
Okay.
As far as regulation, I don't know. I know that right now for what the labs are requiring is for the actual assays to be performed. But for regulatory, for them to actually say, you know, you need to take this much out of your product and test it to make sure that you're not poisoning the people, you know, or using certain pesticides or, you know, fertilizer salts or anything like that. That's probably going to be named in the commercial laws. You know, that's something that I don't know. Yes.
Public, taking a sample.
The DPR?
All the cover screening for everybody. Yeah, they do the concentrates and. But no, state department of public health, and they've got all their laboratories are enrichment. But they'll be talking about that. And that was be my question is, have you had any contact with any of the track and trace companies? And will you, obviously, a stop along the way, that would prevent them chasing?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. I've been talking with a couple of other lab owners around about the way things are going with that. And I'm not sure if we're going to align ourselves with them or not. I still have to kind of hash a couple things out. We're having some discussions.
Then meaning whoever gets the contract with the track and trace?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because there's actually all of the ones that are up for bid all have to align with each other and integrate with each other. So whoever gets the big bid, all those other track and trace companies are going to be in competition, and that's who you guys are all going to be solicited by.
Right.
When it comes back to implementing that into your. So I would.
Yeah, and we are, you know, we're going to offer third-party confirmation testing for all the other labs as well, and we'd like to be a part of, you know, the industry in that fashion. But at the same time, we want to set ourselves aside as we're not just a cannabis engineering lab, we're a full-bore commercial agriculture lab. So, you know, we're going to be dealing with wineries, we're going to be dealing with row crop guys. What we're trying to do really is bring cannabis up into the realm of commercial agriculture, so that it's regulated and treated like the rest of the commercial agriculture. So there's no reason why we should have our lab testing facilities be any other way. There's no reason why there should be a unionized courier service. You know, there's no reason for any of that. It's not done in any other industry. And there's all types of private labs all around that do all kinds of testing for, you know, myriad of things. So, you know, that's kind of where we're a little bit different than the rest of your standard cannabis labs. You know, they kind of set themselves up as cannabis laboratories, and that's all they do. And so that's where we're a little bit different. So, yeah. But thanks for the question. I'm going to actually look into that a little bit more now. So, yeah.
It's interesting. They'll be happy to talk to you about it.
Great. Yeah, awesome. Cool.
But I actually have a random question. Do you have the ability yet to actually do gene sequencing over there? Do you plan to do that down the line just so we can track it?
Yeah, we'll get a real-time PCR, and we're going to be doing that, but not right now.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. But the polymer chain is definitely in our scope of.
You mentioned the bank, so I was thinking. That
Yeah, no, we're going to have to do all of that in order to get the banking systems, you know, and so we're going to be doing identification and cataloging.
I need property right laws coming up for that. As soon as this thing actually gets descheduled, then you can actually open up and start happening right there. Right. That's a huge. That'll be like 90% of all of it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm excited, and I hope everybody else is, and we're here to help you guys as you know, in many ways we possibly can. And yeah, any other questions?
Yeah, what about failed tests? have they decided what they're doing with the product that doesn't pass?
Destroying.
On site, or is it going back to the grower?
It'll
to be
probably,
destroyed?
well, it probably won't. See, that depends on if it goes the way the MRSA laws go and if the batches go
Yeah.
from the grower to the lab, and then we have the batch,
It's in your
and
possession.
it's in our possession, we'll probably be required to destroy it at that point in time. We may have an availability to get it back, but we don't.
Maybe is there going to be any kind of appeals process for
Oh, yeah, there
failed
is.
tests, I would think?
We would have to hold it for 30 days while you go and do your third-party confirmation. It probably takes up to 5 labs. We got by waiting for probably lunchtime,
Okay.
for that to happen. If it failed all 5 labs.
Done. And you don't ever see it in a straight law?
Probably.
No, I mean-
Don't quote me on that, and the laws haven't been set
No
yet,
problem.
you know, and
20 pounds.
you know, and the way things are now, if you have a test result and you try to sell your product with a failed test result, you're not gonna get very far with that anyway, so.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I'm not saying that it's worth any more money. I'm
Right,
saying-
yeah.
I'm just
So-
wondering if that's a loss for some growers. That,
It's a risk,
yeah, they don't even know it's coming until it.
but we can help with that to where that we can minimize that risk on a consulting level. We can come in as far as pest control management, fertilizer management. We can come in and help you through the organic certification process.
PGOs.
Yeah, you know, it's really, you know, the preventative portion of it is gonna help you more. And then the analytics is just gonna be, you know, kind of a checks and balances system that makes you know that you're doing the job correctly.
Even failure will come either there are heavy metals or there are microbial populations in the sample. These are the instances where you have to destroy the whole. But if your actives are low, you can always extract in a way that you have more of a raw material and come up with the percentages that one requires. So that sort of manipulation can be done. The analytical lab is only giving the percentages of the actives, heavy metals, which are bad, particularly some in California like lead, microbial populations, and toxins or synthetics, toxins and synthetics.
So can you guys speak to paclobutyrol use in California? I mean,
Don't investigate.
in what?
The paclobutyrol, that's in Eagle 20 that we're talking about.
Not Eagle 20, but it's in like phospholode and stuff like that. It's a plant growth regulator. No?
I haven't done too much research.
Phospholode is a bulking
I've
agent.
seen the phosphor, but I've not done too much research on that particular nutrient. But
That's the thing
it's
that.
definitely detectable, and, you know, we have the ability to, at that point in time, you know, do research more on an R&D level. But as far as whatever's being said on you know, research that's been done already, I haven't kept up with that too much.
We also had a question like how many samples you may have to get done. If you are making a product, and if that product is a dietary supplement, yes, that could be one instance. The other case could be you are making actually a pharma product, which is made mainly for health. Medical marijuana would require that also. The number of samples per batch would be different in a dietary supplement case and would be different in pharmaceutical one. And if you, for your own interest, if you have a large population and you want to find out some superior exceptions or elite exceptions, that's a different thing. Otherwise, if you have a bundle collected and extracted at one time, or extracted or whatever, then you don't need more than 3 samples from that lot. It may be a very large one, as long as the simple agronomic lot is concerned. But once you develop a product, every batch you have to send a sample for testing.
And what about like cross-contamination within a lot? So say you have one, like there's 10 plants in a lot, and one of those plants is the one that is actually the problem plant that has the mold on it, winds up in a batch. Is there any way to detect which ones have been?
One is to test all of them.
Once it's transferred, you're screwed.
Unless you took the test from the plant, numbered it, you had it cataloged, and then later on did your research, you know, backtracked it down and said, you know, this is where it came from.
But no way to keep it out of the lot if you know that.
Once it's there, it's kind of there, you know. So at that point in time, we come in and do a sterilization process and start over.
And I think some of those track and trace companies, Jason, have some solutions for that.
Do they, to clean up a dirty batch?
Or how to separate it out.
Yeah. There's
I know
gonna
it's
have,
not perfect, but
I mean, you don't wanna get
I
that,
know that's a concern.
yeah, you don't wanna see 10 pounds just disappear.
Yeah, I know.
You should be able to.
Yeah, that's what, there's no form of remediation.
Well, like if you're talking detritus or a pin or some sort of infestation like that, or bacterial infestation, what you have is tons of air movement that's going around. Okay, so anytime you have a system that is infected with something that's microscopic, you might be able to clean out 99% of it, but it's going to come in. The immune system might work.
PM, mold, pathogens, germical, herbicides, some of the pesticides.
Yeah, but it's about getting it to every portion of the time. You know what I mean? So there's a risk. You know, there's ways and there's methods and there's things to do, but what we found is, you know, unless you can shoot off an area in a big warehouse, you don't want to lose, you know, 50% of your crop, you have $1 million in stake or something like that. Sure, there's a way to salvage, you know, but are you going to send some of that product out and is it going to get tested and possibly come back with microbials in it? Possibly. You know, would I want to say I'm going to save your crop and give you a remedy for it and then rely on that? And then say, you know, go on ahead and you're good now, finish up, and then you guys go harvest your crop, and then it's got, you know, all kinds of microbials in it. I wouldn't want to be, you know, responsible for that. You know, so.
Pesticide you cannot get rid of with UV, but microbes you can. And it's not all the microbes. There are some microbes which are very, very specific. They should not be present. The rest is you can take, if you have extracted it in solvent, no microbe will be there. Theoretically. But even after the extraction, you still are handling with dirty hands or bad water or bad packing material, then those things can come up. So yes, there is a remedy. You can keep everything clean. But if you are sending a sample before extraction, there will be a lot of microbes, and some advice can be given how to get rid of it. But if you have pesticides, you have it. There are ways to get rid of pesticides, but those are not recommended ways. Recommended means the FDA or regulatory bodies will not like those things to be done. But otherwise, if you have a pesticide, you have a pesticide. You can't sell it as organic or safe, then you have to do something else. Something else, you have to discuss it later. Make it cosmetic out of it. The regulations are not as stringent in cosmetics as they are stringent in dietary supplements or pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
So nothing to eat.
Right.
Okay, so I have a question on compost tea, like foliar application of ACT. So aerated, not aerobic, but aerated compost tea. Is there a concern with the any pathogens being applied to the plant through using foliar application?
Well, anytime you're applying moisture to your flowers, earlier on, it's going to be less risk. But anytime you're really applying moisture, there's going to be a risk of molds.
I'm more concerned with the application of the fungi and the bacteria from actually putting it in the tea, spraying it on the plant.
Yeah,
is any of that
microbials.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are actually going to be beneficial. A lot of them will be beneficial microbials for your plant. It's all about timing too, you know, and when you spray.
As long as it never gets aerobic or anything like
that. Yeah, and as long as you don't have lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
So
when you have a leaf, there are some microbes all the time present around it. But those are not bad. Those will be automatically taken care of once you dry it or process it in certain ways. But once you are washing this leaf in water, and that water has E. coli, and some of that E. coli goes into the tea, yes, that is a problem. So it is not naturally occurring microbes that are normally living close to the leaf. That's not really a problem. The problem is in processing also you can have bad things, salmonella, E. coli, or the.
Remember the spinach problem?
Yeah,
E. coli?
Yeah.
Same thing that was happening.
And I think in the coming years, I don't think right off the bat, but we're gonna see food safety for cannabis, that we're gonna have to meet up to state level food safety for the
Absolutely.
state voters.
Absolutely, yeah. Everything's headed that way. Everything's headed towards either one way or another as far as an industry that's already been set in place and the regulations that they have. You know, there's the alcohol industry, tobacco industry, and farm industries that all have laws that have been set in place that we can adopt. You know, age limits, driving, zoning, things like that. You know, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel so much as we need to find a place for ourselves.
And the food service industry, as he mentions, is they have temperature control and sanitation and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, GMP. Yeah, all
Right, so
GMP.
they just can adopt that.
That's why we're doing a GMP laboratory, so that when that does come about, we're going to be able to help certify and help work with the GMP food companies that are around. And you guys have a GMP lab to work with. So, yeah.
Yeah, you have, with our group, we can advise on if you are preparing a dietary supplement or a food supplement. We may not be as qualified for pharmaceutical because that we go into a very detailed thing. But suppose you have a candy, or you have supplement, dietary supplement with other food materials. The rules are very clear. If it is ingested as a food, all the food laws will be applicable, and those are pretty much known. There's nothing special about marijuana. Only thing is that allowed to be taken as a food. So once that is taken care of, the rules are very clear what sort of microbes should be there, what percentages and what sort of heavy metals are permitted, and also there are ways how to, as you said, if you follow GMP, all of these things can be taken care of, and suggestions can be given. We can provide consultancy on that, what sort of supplements you can make with what sort of material you have. The only problem will come if you are making something as a pharma product. Your need active is given in the blood or in a cigarette or things like that one. Your things are going into the lungs or to the blood. Then you have to have a different type of test. But for routine food products, bubble gums or candies or cookies or functional food as they call these days say, those are pretty easy and we can. There are two rules. The FDA calls these supplements as ODI, which means dietary ingredients, and the other one is called NDI, the new dietary ingredients, like what we are doing. They said normally marijuana should be in ODI if you are making a tea, for example. A tea, you are not processing anything. You have a leaf, dry the leaf, just put it in hot water, so you have extracted it. So normally it should come in ODI. In ODI, the rules are very easy. You don't have to go through several tests and approvals. There is no approval required from FDA. You only write to FDA. It's like a letterbox, and if they have a problem, they'll come and catch you. Otherwise, they won't bother. But if it is an MD, new dietary ingredient, in this case, it is definitely a new dietary ingredient because this is not a grandfathered recipe of how marijuana is extracted in what solvent and then how it is delivered as a food. So for that, you have to prepare a sort of a dossier of test and information. If you get into that, somebody gets into that, we can provide consultancy on that.
What about well water tests?
Yeah, we'll be able to do water tests, soil tests.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We make money only on that. Not in the other one.
Yeah, I'll be handing out cards and we have agreements in a minute. Anybody else have any questions? Well, I thank you for your time, for listening, and everybody here is amazing. I know quite a few of you, and the ones that I don't, I'm sure are awesome as well. So can't wait to get to know all of you, and yeah, we'll be here for you at the end of the night. I hope to see you guys at the presentation on there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hey, Claire, would you mind talking about your meeting with,
Oh,
yeah, would you mind giving the group an update on how that meeting went and what you guys talked about?
I went and saw Debbie Arnold the other day to ask her about her verbiage in the urgency ordinance saying that she used the word no more plantings for the 45 days and perhaps afterwards. And she realized later on that she meant no new sites rather than plantings, meaning plants going in the ground. Yeah, and she made it a reference that she had also used the wrong word in something else, but staff never corrected her. So whatever ordinance went through had a wrong wording and then had to go through red tape to actually look the real verbiage and then cite it. So she appreciates any input that anybody gives her because this is a very new area.
Was this Liz or Deb?
Yeah.
Deb, okay. I was hoping.
She was also saying that staff needs to hear more input from everyone.
And for some of you cats that came in a little bit late, for Shane, we have a list of questions if you wanted to take it in there, and then Claire will actually go through those and ask her when they come in. And is Debbie Arnold a possibility to come to some of our next speakers?
She also had said at the urgency meeting that what if growers decided to hold over a plant till next season? And I explained to her that this was more like a crop of corn. Annual harvest, annual harvest, and harvest right then, and then you had to replant. She didn't remember that.
Somebody told me she thought that it was like a grapevine that you trim back and then every spring it resprouts and grows a new crop, and in the fall you trim it back. And that was the understanding that that's how she thought marijuana grew. And somebody corrected her just recently that no, when you grow it, you cut it down and you have to start completely over.
And she also,
Is that what she understood?
that's what, yeah, she didn't realize. The other thing she said was, she didn't realize that the outdoor growers in California Valley, that once they harvested their crop in the fall, that, they would disappear for a while until springtime again. She thought that they were just gonna continue all, I don't know if only she thought that, maybe the other supervisors do or don't. So, right, and they depend on staff, and staff, I don't know.
And then how was the process to actually get into the meeting with Debbie?
You just have to request it through her assistant.
So just call them up, ask, or email them and say, hey, I'm
Right,
so-and-so, come here.
yeah, call her and ask, when she has the next available date.
They have office hours. They have office hours up here in North County.
So
At the
everyone,
Atascadero Library, they have a little conference room there that you can meet with them at.
oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay, so that, the reason I'm talking about this is so everyone knows it's easy to do. We need people to go talk to them, but that's the main thing they're looking for.
You might actually talk with her assistant, maybe not Debbie, if you do it that route, just so that you're aware.
Can I ask the group of you locals, who is opposed to the moratorium? And if you're opposed, can you share with us why?
Well, I think it's basically, they were very misinformed as to what they're actually putting more time on.
Okay, but if it was just new growth sites, not new growth planting, would you be opposed to that moratorium? And if so, why? Now, I just can see the guy who's in escrow, and I'm gonna close escrow on my new property in September, October, November. That would be one reason.
But everyone wants to move.
Right, but as long as everybody understands the reason they want to do this.
Moratorium's the right direction to move it.
Well, they want to prevent the Cal Valley inundation. They've had so many, and that's at the top of the list.
So they put a ban on suburban, put a ban on suburban and residential zoning. Do a zoning ban. Don't do a whole a universal ban on all these things in the county. I think that's a step in the wrong direction. That's not where we're going to go. In my experience with this time, once it's off the table, it's not an item anymore. They're not going to let the consumers do anything about it.
So if this temporary act is a solver, not for them, they don't have the motivation to continue working on the real or pushing that forward. You know, so I'm opposed to it just in a different direction. That's, I think a moratorium of ban is the wrong direction. And it also gives them, something to fall back on if they choose not to move forward with the other ordinance.
I guess they have to have 4 out of the 5 vote for it.
It is 4 out of 5.
I think only 3 of them are in support of it.
Well, no, W. Arnold's the one she's the one that
One thing that happens with bans, then it gives the county the opportunity to come in and offer exemptions down the road, which then in turn fuels more of their picking winners. Because they did it in Monterey, they had a ban in place. Once they realized that they were going to mess up the growing season for this summer for some growers, and they'd already put up some money, they put out an exemption that says, oh, if you meet our certain criteria, you can go ahead and start early. Well, you know that criteria was based on what certain bigger players laid out for them.
Well, that's already happened in this county with the wells and the water.
Yeah, it's
So this is what the sheriff,
this
is what the sheriff wants, and he's so frustrated with the inundation in Cal Valley, and the inability to keep up and blah, blah, blah,
Here's what they
blah.
have on outdoor growth, only outdoor growth.
No. You don't want to start that. I mean, go look at Monterey. They came out of the gate with that, and it's still a big fighting point now.
So I know they're gonna wanna please him, I know they're gonna wanna do something for him,
I understand.
so they feel like he's being, they're supporting him.
Compromise there.
Yeah.
They want to give him the tools that work.
I think they wanna throw him some kind of bone.
In reality, it's still going to be hard.
Okay, but the sheriff said in the last meeting that he didn't even care about them finishing up this season. So why are we rushing into a ban?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thing.
So they don't replant. Again.
They're gonna replant.
So what happens if you send down the close out on August 22nd and keep them in a study state, you know?
Yeah. I mean, or you can
Or
plant
if
them
you want
down.
genetically test them and you clone the same plant, like how are you?
You can keep them in beds just under lights. You just, fuck yeah.
So as well, the other issue that I'm concerned about is the 100 licenses. If there are 6 or 7 or 800 of us that sign up, and we all register, and we all give our address, our email, and our phone number, because we all want to be legitimate, and there's 20 of those out of those 100 that are all special interests, the big farms, the lawyers that have already showed up, already made deals with the boards of supervisors. Though coming from municipal government, it's hard for me to understand how those side deals can be made, because where I worked, you couldn't do that. Too many checks and balances. But it's my understanding that can't occur. Just know that the other 600 of us who have signed up, if we don't get a license, they're going to be knocking on our door.
Absolutely.
Because they've already got our address. So it's like, you've got a warrant, I got a cruise that I've called you to come pick up the tickets for. You come down and you throw the bracelets on me. It kind of seems like a catch-22 or I mean, you're getting.
No win.
There's no win, yeah. You're getting
You're saying that it's not an incentive for those growers to come out and become part of the industry.
oh, absolutely not. Yeah, it's just this
And that could be
incentive.
the point that is made when addressing those supervisors.
Yeah.
This is the way that then you really get the industry above board without any of those limitations. And you guys gave that great analogy of the two different.
Las Vegas, what is it, North Las Vegas, the taxes?
Yeah.
Between a high tax rate and a low tax rate.
And that can be put up on a slide that's pretty easily discernible.
So come to the meeting on August 23rd, voice your opinion, sign up, go up and share with them, send them emails, set up meetings with them, and talk about how you feel about those issues. Setbacks is another issue. There's like 300 feet from a property line with no mention of an adjacent residential structure.
Yeah.
So I'm, 200 feet from my property line, but I don't have a home for miles. That's right. So.
And what if you have a 20-acre piece of property, but it's real skinny? And if it's only 700 feet wide, you only have a 100-foot strip down the very center that you
It's
can
a
use.
great way to get rid of every small farmer out there and just have the 100-acre, 1,000-acre guys get in. So.
And if you look in that draft ordinance, we've taken a lot of the BS stuff out that we'd like to hand to them. but we need more people to comment on it so that it's a group effort. I mean,
Absolutely.
And everybody has access to that shared file?
and if you don't speak up, everyone
It's
should
on
have.
the agenda,
I mean,
and it's on the Facebook page, it's been the past 3 agendas.
it's
So it's sitting there ready for critique.
I mean, literally, all you have to do is click on it, and everyone has access to it. In fact, we're thinking about putting a newsletter together just featuring that and sending it out to the whole list of everybody. What do you guys think about that? Sheriffs and Board of Supervisors members included, police chiefs.
What we're gonna send
We
over
got them all.
this week.
An open source draft document that everyone can comment on, and we put it in the sheriff's hand, we put it in the police chief's hand, and we get their input from them. I mean, it all
And you
happens.
can see all of the input that
everyone else is
in the
doing.
data call. I think
They
that's
do
really
read
smart.
it. They do read it, and the way we know that is through MailChimp. We know how many times they click on it and open it, and we.
That's your newsletter, but the ordinance draft, I think you need.
No, if we include. But I'm saying if we include it in the email, they will read
Some
it.
instructions,
Yeah.
how to do it, and then we can also forward it to folks. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
It's
Well, no,
like open source, it's so everybody can contribute.
we're trying to get.
I don't wanna go.
No, I mean, there's no trouble. It's a public group. Do it.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
The other problem Debbie Arnold had was when Sean Donahoe of Cal Growers got up and gave his little dissertation and said that Monterey County has banned outdoor growing.
They have. It's a true statement.
They have, but they have a reason to do it though.
What is, let's hear the reason.
For the nurseries to go to funnel rows in the nurseries and they've got greenhouses.
You're talking about, there's two different things you're talking about. So Monterey County has banned outdoor growing, but they've also put a ban on building new greenhouses. So you're only allowed to grow cannabis in existing greenhouses. That's two separate issues. Both of them I'm against, because it affects me directly. But the thing is, they lost a big cut flower industry that went to South America. So they have a lot of greenhouses that are sitting there open and available to be used. They did want to fill that. I do see that from a county point of view. But to limit the fact that no one else can build a new greenhouse to grow cannabis in is ridiculous, because I have a 20-acre certified organic farm, and I could put, they say one of their things is they don't want people covering up valuable farmland, which we all know they're trying to copy Monterey County as well. I have a 20-acre organic farm. I could put 20 acres of greenhouse up tomorrow to grow tomatoes in, no problem. They would write me the permit immediately if I were talking.
So.
But let me finish that thought. If I want to do an acre of cannabis, they're laughing me out the front door. So it's not really about protecting existing valuable farmland. Because if that was true, how would they let me cover the same property completely from one end to the other, except for perimeter setback? So there's some holes in the story.
Are you talking Louis Obispo County for that?
No, I'm talking Monterey County.
Monterey County, okay, because she just wrote 2 permits for outdoor grow.
I issued one yesterday for.
Hold on, let me come sit down next. We're gonna become friends. You issued the permit.
Operator, I did not technically a permit. A permit is, permitted signature. So operator ID is only a way to issue you a number by which you can report exercise. Okay, the guy that came in, yes, 10 acres on a property, and it was not specified, so there was a. I'm not
Probably
yet-
PG.
So, but this is Monterey County.
Yes.
So he has 10 acres and he's allowed to grow on one of those acres. And so we just, it was my first permit that I issued, so I was not entirely sure.
What's the permit for?
And I needed to do permit. So I issued him,
a couple of our handouts about what he needs to do to get his licensing through the state. And we just issued his permit, and I talked to my deputy about it. And I said, is there anything else I need to do? And he said, no.
What, the permit that you issued it to, what was it specifically?
For marijuana.
The cultivation of marijuana.
Marijuana.
The pesticide.
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 It's only a number by which to.
Usage number.
Is that indoor or greenhouse?
Outdoors.
It's outdoors.
So-
It's a greenhouse, not able to specify the greenhouse. This is for outdoor cultivation in 1 acre. And I was not. I'll issue you-
Or Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever you got time. We'll talk to some people, because what you're saying right now, we're looking at each other like, what the hell's going on?
That's, you know what, we got our pesticide use reports probably 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago.
Okay.
With marijuana on
Okay.
Would the application for the pesticide thing, the universal apply here as well?
it. It's a state thing, so yes.
Could you actually send us what those list of requirements are and documents when you get a free chance? And then we could actually share that. Or you have it.
Actually, I have all of this stuff.
We have every marijuana.
Right hand is no on the left hand.
Yeah. This is awesome. Thank you.
So I didn't mean to get off track with going to Monterey.
It's got all excited.
Well, yeah. Because when they start talking outdoor Monterey, it's a bad subject. And it's been for fun. But one of the things is you guys realize that SLO is trying to copy Monterey, and they come and said that word for word.
This is just pesticide.
So you see what's coming at us down here. And the one thing I like is that they're open. So, do you want to talk about insurance for a little bit?
I didn't really come here for that.
You know,
Came to gather some education.
everyone needs to know about insurance. It's one of the main things we're gonna have to deal with, or a thing.
Right.
Give a little feel, let them.
Okay, so,
Got any insurance for the mold? Yeah, right? It's doable. I know they write that stuff.
yeah, so my name's Daniel, and I'm with New Growth Insurance.
What do you say?
And
Wow.
we're appointed with 2 companies currently, K-Insure and Next.
That's your county part.
And we're dealing with general liability, product liability, equipment breakdown, property, and transportation. And so, these policies have been active since 2015, so they're fairly new. But Michael Aberley is the creator of these products, and he's been working on it since 2008. And he's got an office in San Diego. He started insuring dispensaries, and now he's moved on to just the entire industry as much as he possibly can. So we currently have these things in place. I have some reading information for anybody that's interested in taking a look at it. But the only thing that we're not covering at this moment is plants that are outdoors. So if they're in the ground uncovered, we cannot insure them because we can't assess the risk because these things are so new. So
What about in pots outdoors?
in pots outdoors, that's something I'll have to ask about, but I don't think so. So everything must be covered. It has to have a greenhouse. There has to be an alarm. There has to be a locking mechanism on your doors. There has to be fencing around it. So there's a bunch of stipulations that have to take place for you to be insured. If you're vegging plants, we can insure those. But once you put them in the ground and they're uncovered, they're uninsured. But when you harvest and bring it back inside, we can insure the harvest. So that's the only thing that we're working on right now and trying to figure out how we can insure those outdoor plants. But it is coming.
Is there any insurance people in this room? No? They know about it?
We came across 2, though, in our younger time sponsors.
Because one of the things that what Daniel and I spoke about earlier, because I've already tried to do it, is getting an ag insurance and a cannabis insurance policy doesn't work. You have to get 2 separate policies.
Right. And so what my company is working on is an all-inclusive type of insurance, like an umbrella policy, that we can do this. Because there's a lot of farmers, especially in the Central Valley, that need this type of insurance. So, and we are running into these problems. And also residents, like Calaveras County is requiring some farms to, you actually have to live on the property. But then they need a separate policy. And in those areas where they're not near fires, a fire department or fire, hydrants, they have to carry another policies in the state. Just normal, even without cultivating cannabis. So we're running into issues where they have to have these separate policies and people are getting declined. And so that's in the works right now. It's still uncertain on how that's going to play out in the near future. But
Is this only for commercial, or are you guys doing?
we're not doing residential yet. No, it hasn't. That and deliveries, we cannot.
Okay, I was going to ask about and ancillary portions of it, so like edibles, kitchens.
All manufacturing, kitchens,
all MIPs.
all equipment, everything is insured.
What about if an MIP gets somebody sick? Is that insured?
There's a new endorsement that has to do with, product liability, and there's an endorsement under that.
Company
And so,
gets sued because of an incident or something.
correct. Yes. Yeah. So I don't know what the value is on that we can cover. It just came out, so I'll gather more information, but I can email you something. If you have a business card,
Yeah.
I can get all that to you guys. I'll send everything to Ryan if you want to issue it.
Yeah, I'll put it out.
It's all getting created
Like
right now.
everything we talked about in this meeting, I'm gonna add to the bottom of the agenda for this meeting, so you'll be able to see it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, they're working on that right now because a lot of issues are happening. We're having to take product off the shelves. Colorado's dealing with 2 issues with pesticides. Oregon is currently dealing with 14 issues with pesticides. So there's an endorsement now that we've set in place that can actually help you gather some of that value back. In the event that you have to take that off, consider that a period of caution because you cannot do business during that time. If you're dealing with, product liability case and you actually get your client or use something like that, then you're probably going to be out of business for that amount of time, a couple of months, to get back into compliance. So we tend to pay out for that. But of course, there's guidelines for you to follow.
Sure, it's going to be a hard learning curve, but
It is definitely, because it's so new and all these risks are coming into play as they happen.
Now, what about courier services and things of that nature? In the future is going to be probably courier services product from growers to labs.
True.
So my insurance is going to have to something start insuring labs and
We are, yeah.
courier service from.
We are insuring transportation as well. There's 2 companies out of Humboldt, a southern Humboldt that are currently doing deliveries, and they send it down here. And of course, there's variables that have to be considered to be insured. So we actually have an armored truck or car, so bulletproof, and it has to be equipped with a gun and also a tracking system to be insured. So we are looking at insuring most transportation because that's where a lot of risk lies. So, it's a good thing that we're not reading about people getting robbed on the road. It's more in-house, in store, and storefronts. I'm trying to rob, but it will happen. Because we're valuing an ounce of concentrate, it can be valued at a max of $3,000. So now an ounce of concentrate is double the ounce of gold. So that's how we're looking at it. And if you have 100 pounds of concentrate, then you have a significant amount of value and assets that are being transported somewhere, plus the cash, because we don't have banks yet. So there's cash that's being transferred on the roads, and we need to be able to ensure that. So we have a policy in line for that as well. But crops, definitely, just keep in mind, outdoor crops are not currently covered. We do cover indoor, greenhouse, and then we're working on the outdoor. And then obviously nursery, we do cover.
What about greenhouse fires? Have you experienced any of that?
Greenhouse fires, we have not experienced that. We've experienced indoor cultivation fires. One in Arizona that was a couple $1 million in damage. An air conditioning system went out, just caught fire.
Sure.
Yeah. And then Colorado's dealing with the case, not with our insurance carrier, but there was a fire nearby, and their ventilation system, sucked in the ash and the smoke and killed all their plants. Well, the insurance company tried not to pay, saying that it was federally illegal. But the judge came back and said, we're fully aware of signing this contract that was federally illegal. You need to pay out. So things are working in favor for the client. This isn't just a hustle. We're here. My team is here to provide that security and make sure those assets are intact. So if something happens, you can still move forward in business. That's what we want, that's our goal.
Okay, well, any other questions for insurance? No? All right, thanks everyone. We're gonna have a demonstration in about 15 minutes outside. If you guys, this is your first trip here and you haven't filled this out, please do. It'll get you on our email list so that you're more up to date on what's happening. We're trying to get that going more regularly. It's not quite going where we wanted to, but it's coming. So it's all a work in progress.
I just quickly wanted to say that all quoting and everything is free, so any type of consultation or quoting is free.
You already consulted with me.
Yeah, and if you guys have questions like, well, what does this cost? We don't really know because every project is different. And we don't have like the statistics to go off of like auto or home insurance. So the actuarial stuff is really difficult to determine. But it'll come together in the next couple of years when we see more and more consistency in business types.
Did you have any type? I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier. What about need managed insurance? Do you have anything like that available right now?
I'll have to
For
look
our
into
business?
it. I'll have to look into it. Yeah.
We'll talk more.
Yeah,
Definitely want to
one
talk
of
to
the
you
things
more.
I wrote down.
Because I'm in the process of the need managed insurance right now. Okay, so.
This is for you, by the way. If anybody, did you guys check out the